Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast. We are breaking down the legendary manga chapter by chapter, and today we are on chapter 41, To the Sea.
And what a title! After everything in Syrup Village, this is the first time we've really seen the horizon open up for them. It's a promise.
It's huge, and this chapter, man, it delivers on everything. We get the ship, we get the crewmate, but the thing that really floored me is the gut punch of learning why Usopp lies. It's not for fun, it's not for attention.
It's born from tragedy, a little boy trying to keep his dying mother alive with a story. It completely reframes his entire character. It takes what we thought was a flaw, a funny little quirk, and reveals it to be a monument to his love and his grief.
It's one of those moments that makes you want to go back and reread everything. And if you want to make sure you're with us every time Oda drops a piece of lore that changes the whole game, find that subscribe button and give it a good tap. Don't make us lie and say pirates are coming to get you to do it.
Let's get into it. The chapter opens right after the battle.
Yeah, classic post-arc celebration meal. Luffy, Zoro, and Nami are just stuffing their faces in a restaurant. They earned it. They just took down a whole pirate crew and saved a village. And you can feel the exhaustion, but also the satisfaction. It's the first time we've seen them as a unit in a moment of pure peace after a shared life or death struggle.
It's a moment of calm, and Oda composes the panel beautifully. They're not just three individuals anymore. In Orangetown, they felt like temporary allies. Here, sitting around a table, sharing food, they look like a real crew, just enjoying a meal together. There's a comfortable silence between them that wasn't there before.
That's a great point. They've bled together now. They've fought for a common goal that wasn't just their own survival. They fought for Usopp's home. That changes things. But then Kaya walks in and the whole mood shifts.
And she doesn't look like the frail, sickly girl from the start of the arc. The first time we saw her, she was confined to her bed, pale and weak. Now she's standing tall. There's color in her cheeks. The sickness that plagued her, which it seems was largely psychological, a manifestation of her grief and Kurov manipulation, has vanished.
She looks determined, strong. She's taking control of her own life in the wake of all this trauma. She asks to speak with them, and you know this is it. This is the big thank you, the payoff. It's the moment the heroes get their reward from the princess they saved, you know? It feels very classic, very storybook.
Which is fitting for an arc all about stories and lies. Meanwhile, we cut to Usopp's house. He's packing his bag to leave.
And it's the most Usopp thing ever. He's got this huge bundle of stuff, so big he can't even fit through his own door. It's a classic physical comedy, but man, it's also so deeply symbolic. He's literally carrying too much baggage. He's trying to pack up his entire life, his entire past, and take it with him.
It's a perfect visual metaphor. He has to break his own door down just to get out, shattering the frame of his old life to begin a new one. And then he just rolls away down the hill. It's funny, but there's a real sadness to it. He's leaving his home, all alone. He thinks this is a solo journey. He's performing the role of the lone, departing adventurer.
He really does. He's putting on this brave face, the great Captain Usopp persona, but you can see the truth underneath. He's just a kid leaving the only home he's ever known. The fact that he just gathers his stuff and keeps going after that ridiculous exit, that's his spirit right there. He trips, he fumbles, he makes a fool of himself, but he doesn't stop moving forward. He's a goofball, but he doesn't quit.
While he's rolling away, Kaya and Mary have led the others down to the coast. It's a beautiful, secluded cove. The tension is building. And there it is.
The ship, their first proper pirate ship, the Going Merry. It's beautiful, man. A rear stern-helmed caravel, as Nami points out instantly. It's not some massive, intimidating galleon. It's got this friendly, adventurous look to it. And that figurehead, the little sheep, it's so perfect for this crew at this stage. It's not scary, it's inviting. It's a ship that's ready for fun.
Of course she knows the exact classification. That's our Navigator. She's already assessing its seaworthiness, its handling capabilities. She's not just looking at a gift, she's looking at her new workplace, her new home. Her reaction is purely professional, which in itself is a huge character moment. It shows how seriously she takes her role and the journey ahead.
And Mary is so proud. He's beaming. You can tell he poured his heart and soul into it. He designed it himself. He starts explaining the state-of-the-art rudder system and all its features. He's a proud parent showing off his kid.
And Nami just cuts him off. Just explain it to me later. Not in a rude way, but in a we're professionals, let's talk shop kind of way. It's a moment of mutual respect between two experts. She's acknowledging his skill by treating him as an equal, a fellow specialist. I love that. It shows a different kind of connection than just being grateful for a present.
It's perfect. And then Kaya drops that she's already stocked it with food and supplies, everything they could possibly need. She's thought of everything. She's not just giving them a hull, she's giving them a running start. And Luffy, of course, goes nuts. He gives her this big, goofy, thanks for the food.
And Zoro immediately corrects him. Luffy, she gave us a ship. It's such a simple line, but it speaks volumes about their dynamic.
It's such a great little character moment. Luffy's priorities are so simple and pure. Food, adventure, friends. The grandness of getting a whole ship, a vessel that will carry them to their dreams, is secondary to the immediate, tangible joy of having a full country. He lives completely in the present moment.
And Zoro is the one who has to be the crew's reality check. He's the one who understands social cues and the scale of things. He has to be like, acknowledge the scale of this gift, you moron. It shows the dynamic of the crew is already solidifying. Luffy is the chaotic, instinctual heart, and Zoro is the stoic, grounding force that keeps him from floating away entirely.
And right then, just as they're taking in this incredible gift, all their attention gets drawn up the hill, because here comes Usopp, still rolling, a giant ball of baggage and destiny.
It's an absurd image, this giant lumpy sphere bouncing down the pristine green hill towards their brand new ship. He's heading straight for their new ship, a collision course of comedy and fate.
And Luffy and Zoro, without even blinking, without a word to each other, just stick their feet out and stop him dead. No panic, no surprise, just a casual, whoa there. It's so cool. It's the first time we see them act in perfect, unspoken sync as a team outside of a battle. They're completely in sync.
Usopp picks himself up, dusts himself off, and tries to play it cool, as if that was his intended entrance. The performance begins immediately. He says he's heading out to sea too, that he'll be a great pirate captain, and maybe they'll meet again someday on the high seas.
He's trying so hard to have his grand independent departure. He's putting on a show for them, for Kaya, but mostly for himself. He's trying to convince himself that he's a captain, that he can do this alone, that he doesn't need them. But Luffy is just not having it. He doesn't buy the act for a second.
He doesn't let him finish the speech. He and Zoro just say, shut up and get on board.
No hesitation, not a single moment of doubt. That's what gets me. For Luffy, Usopp was already part of the crew. This whole dramatic farewell was just nonsense to him. The decision was made the moment Usopp stood up to Kuro, the moment he chose to fight and bleed to protect his village and his friends.
It's the ultimate sign of acceptance. They're not inviting him. There's no formal, would you like to join us? They're telling him where he belongs. Luffy's leadership style is so decisive. He sees a person's quality, their heart, and he claims them as his own. He doesn't ask permission. He states a fact. You are one of us now. Get on the ship.
And Usopp's reaction is priceless. The tears, the shock, the absolute joy. All that bravado just melts away, and he's just a kid who has found his place. And then, of course, he immediately overplays his hand, saying he'll be their captain, which leads to Luffy immediately shutting him down. Nope, that's my job. Some things are non-negotiable.
And with that 1-2 punch of acceptance and correction, he's officially on the crew, the fourth member of the Straw Hat Pirates, Sniper, and as we'll soon learn, the artist behind their Jolly Roger.
It's just perfect. The way it all comes together is so earned. He fought with them. He bled with them. He proved his courage not by being fearless, but by acting in spite of his fear. And now he has a place with them, a family.
And watching from the cliffs are the old Usopp pirates, Ninjin, Tamanigi, and P-Man, his little crew.
My boys! They're not crying that he's leaving. They're so proud of him. They point out that he was always alone, but now he's surrounded by strong people. That's such an astute observation for a bunch of kids. They're not sad he's leaving. They're happy he's found a family. They see that he's leveling up, graduating.
It's incredibly mature of them. They understand that this is the best thing for him. Their friendship is selfless. They were his practice crew, his support system when he had no one. And now that he has a real crew, they're letting him go without any resentment. And then P-Man gets an idea, which Oda leaves hanging for a moment, a little narrative cliffhanger.
We cut back to Mary and Kaya also watching the Going Merry sail away. The mood gets quiet again, and this is where the chapter pivots from celebration to something much deeper, much more profound.
Mary decides Kaya needs to know the truth about Usopp, the real story, not the story of the brave warrior Captain Usopp, but the story of the lonely little boy Usopp. And he tells her about Usopp's father, Yasopp.
Yasopp, who we know from the very first chapters is on Shanks' crew, a legendary sniper. He left his family to follow his dream of being a pirate. It's the same story we see over and over, the call of the sea, the romance of adventure. It's the central theme of the whole series.
But we see the cost this time. We see the family that gets left behind. Usopp's mother fell sick, and as she was on her deathbed, little Usopp, this tiny kid, started running through the village, screaming his famous lie for the first time, "The pirates are coming."
It's devastating. It completely shatters your perception of his character. He wasn't doing it to be a pest. He wasn't doing it for laughs. He was doing it for her. He was trying to give her the will to live, to hold on until her husband came home. He was creating a story to save her life. It's a child's desperate, magical thinking. If I shout it loud enough, it will become true, and my dad will come back and save my mom.
And the most heartbreaking detail of the entire flashback is that she knew. Usopp's mother knew he was lying. She's lying in bed, frail and dying, and she hears her son's shouts, and she smiles. She understands exactly what he's doing and why. And instead of telling him to stop, she plays along. She told him she was proud she married Yasopp, that she was happy he followed his dream. In that moment, she was validating both her husband's choice and her son's love. It is an act of incredible emotional strength.
She tells him she believes he'll be a great warrior, just like his father. She's passing the torch. She's giving him his inherited will. And Usopp is just crying, this little kid with a Band-Aid on his nose, begging her to stop talking like she's about to die. It's so raw. This one flashback recontextualizes every single thing Usopp has ever done. Every tall tale, every boast, every panicked retreat. It's all rooted in this single moment of profound loss.
After she dies, he's left all alone. But he keeps up the lie. He keeps running through the village every morning. What started as a desperate act of love for his mother became a habit, a memorial. It's his morning prayer for her.
It became his way of keeping her memory and the hope of his father's return alive. He chained himself to that lie because it was all he had left of them. The lie became his armor against the loneliness of being an orphan in a quiet village. It's one of the most tragic and beautiful backstories Oda has written, and he does it in just a handful of pages.
Mary tells Kaya all of this, not just to inform her, but to inspire her. He tells her that Usopp fought for her, and in return, she needs to live strongly, to pursue her own dreams so she doesn't suffer the way he did. He's essentially saying, this boy who lost everything fought to give you a future. Do not waste it.
It's not just a thank you anymore. It's a debt. A life for a life. She has to make his sacrifice worth it. His bravery needs to mean something beyond just saving her life. It needs to ignite it.
And the most heartbreaking detail of the entire flashback is that she knew. Usopp's mother knew he was lying. She's lying in bed, frail and dying, and she hears her son's shouts, and she smiles. She understands exactly what he's doing and why. And instead of telling him to stop, she plays along. She told him she was proud she married Yasopp, that she was happy he followed his dream. In that moment, she was validating both her husband's choice and her son's love. It is an act of incredible emotional strength.
She tells him she believes he'll be a great warrior, just like his father. She's passing the torch. She's giving him his inherited will. And Usopp is just crying, this little kid with a Band-Aid on his nose, begging her to stop talking like she's about to die. It's so raw. This one flashback recontextualizes every single thing Usopp has ever done. Every tall tale, every boast, every panicked retreat. It's all rooted in this single moment of profound loss.
After she dies, he's left all alone. But he keeps up the lie. He keeps running through the village every morning. What started as a desperate act of love for his mother became a habit, a memorial. It's his morning prayer for her.
It became his way of keeping her memory and the hope of his father's return alive. He chained himself to that lie because it was all he had left of them. The lie became his armor against the loneliness of being an orphan in a quiet village. It's one of the most tragic and beautiful backstories Oda has written, and he does it in just a handful of pages.
Mary tells Kaya all of this, not just to inform her, but to inspire her. He tells her that Usopp fought for her, and in return, she needs to live strongly, to pursue her own dreams so she doesn't suffer the way he did. He's essentially saying, this boy who lost everything fought to give you a future. Do not waste it.
It's not just a thank you anymore. It's a debt, a life for a life. She has to make his sacrifice worth it. His bravery needs to mean something beyond just saving her life. It needs to ignite it.
And the Straw Hats celebrate on their new ship with their new sniper. We see the consequence of that inspiration back in the village.
The Usopp pirates. They've taken up the mantle, the idea Paimon had. They're the ones running through the streets now, shouting, the pirates are coming. They're carrying on his legacy.
His lie has been inherited. It's no longer a mark of his personal tragedy. It has become a part of the village's identity. It's no longer a boy crying for his mom. It's the story of their local hero, the boy who left to become a brave warrior of the sea. It's beautiful. It is the theme of this podcast in action. His will, his morning ritual, has been inherited by the next generation.
Super beautiful. They're honoring him in the best way possible by keeping his spirit alive. He left, but a piece of him will always be there, every single morning, running through those streets. The village that once tolerated his lie now embraces it as a fond memory.
And the final moment of the chapter is with Kaya. She has processed the story. She understands the weight of Usopp's actions. She turns to Mary and says she wants to become a doctor.
Yes, she's found her path. It's the perfect resolution for her character. After being a patient for so long, trapped in a sick bed, manipulated by a man pretending to care for her, she's deciding to take control and become a healer herself. She's turning her greatest vulnerability into her greatest strength. It's the perfect end to her story. She's not waiting for a hero anymore. She's going to become one.
It's an incredible end to the Syrup Village arc. Everyone gets what they need, and everyone grows. The Straw Hats get a ship and a sniper. Usopp gets a crew and a real adventure. And Kaya gets a future and a dream, born from the bravery of the boy who lied to her.
Oda just sticks the landing perfectly. Every plot thread is tied up, but in a way that opens up the whole world. Speaking of which, he had an author's comment this week.
Oh? What was it?
He said he went to some big bookstores to gather materials, and 3 hours would be enough, but he had to make another trip.
That sounds about right. A man with a story this big needs a lot of books for reference. It's a nice little reminder of the real-world work that goes into creating this massive, internally consistent world. The details in the ship designs, the cultural touchstones, the historical parallels, they don't come from nowhere.
The detail is everything. You can feel the research, the thought that goes into every corner of this series. That's why it feels so lived in. That's why these emotional beats hit so hard.
It's what makes these character backstories, like Usopp's, feel so real. There's a genuine human element grounded in all the fantasy. The pain of losing a parent, the loneliness of childhood, the desire to make someone you love proud. These are universal truths.
Absolutely. Usopp's story in particular just hits so hard. I think it's one of the most relatable and powerful ones we've seen so far. It's not about grand tragedy on a national scale. It's a quiet, personal tragedy that shaped a person completely. And seeing him find a place where his true self is accepted, lies and all, is just immensely satisfying.
I'd agree. The comments are a good place to tell us which Straw Hat backstory hits you the hardest. For me, this one is very high on the list. It adds a layer of pathos to every joke he tells from here on out. But now, we're off to sea. It's time for predictions for Chapter 42.
Okay, I'll go first. My number one prediction, they're going to realize they need a cook, and fast. Kaya stocked him up, but with Luffy on board, that food is not going to last the week. We're going to see a montage of supplies dwindling at an alarming rate, and Luffy is going to be complaining constantly about being hungry. I predict the next chapter ends with them spotting an island and Luffy declaring they have to stop there to find a chef for their crew.
That's a very safe bet, almost a certainty. The crew is missing a crucial component for survival, especially with a captain like Luffy. My first prediction is a bit of a long shot. We just had this huge focus on Usopp and his connection to his father, Usopp. I think Oda might give us a short check-in with the Red Hair Pirates. Maybe just a few panels of Shank's crew on their ship in the Grand Line, with Usopp looking out at the sea, maybe talking about his son as if he can feel that he's just set out on his own journey. A little narrative echo to connect the two generations.
Ooh, I like that. A little taste of the bigger world, reminding us of the players already on the board. Okay, my second prediction is that we get a full chapter of the crew just getting used to the Going Merry, a shakedown cruise. We'll see Nami expertly navigating, taking charge and barking orders. We'll see Usopp testing out the cannons on a random rock and being super proud of himself. We'll see Zoro finding the absolute best place on the ship to nap, probably the crow's nest. And we'll definitely see Luffy sitting in his special seat on the figurehead, grinning like an idiot. A pure new crew, new ship bonding chapter before the next big thing happens.
That feels right. A chapter to let this new dynamic breathe and establish the roles on the ship. For my second prediction, I think their journey will be interrupted. Not by another pirate crew just yet, but a natural obstacle that feels unnatural. Maybe a massive, unexplainable whirlpool or a bizarre weather event that's unique to the East Blue. Something that defies conventional meteorology. It will be something that forces Nami to prove her skills as a world-class navigator and the new four-man crew to work seamlessly to save their brand new ship right out of the gate. A test of their teamwork before they face their next human adversary.
A trial by fire, or by water, I guess. I can definitely see that happening. A classic out of the frying pan into the weirdly behaving ocean. Solid predictions.
We'll see what happens when we head into the next arc. The board is set, the pieces are moving.
It's a whole new world out there on the Grand Line, or, well, on the way to it. This is where the real adventure starts. No more islands with personal connections. From here on out, it's all unknown territory.
That's it for us this week on Inherited Dawn. We'll see you next time.